Hello, welcome to the RC Block. I'm Jamie Nitro and thank you for tuning in. Tonight I'm going to talk to you about the Cison V8 transmission and how a lot of people have been waiting a long time for this transmission. So stay tuned and let's get into it. Okay, so here we have all the pieces that you're going to get with the Cison gearbox. Everything is packaged up really nicely when it comes. They're going to give you all the hardware that you need to adapt this bell housing to the engine there. This is all very nice machine quality. Doesn't look like it's been 3D printed. It looks like it's actually machined. Even the weight of the gearbox itself has a very nice weight to it. Everything feels very solid. It feels very smooth. The shifting mechanisms are nice. What I also really like is they've added these adjustments for the clutch assembly. So you're able to adjust the whole assembly. If you're getting too much engagement on one side or the other, you're able to adjust that. But I would recommend that you at least mark down where your original adjustment was. This way you can go back to original position and reset from there. All in all, I think Cison has done a very good job on this transmission. Everything is packaged really nicely. It's compact. It is a little bit lengthy. Personally, you know, I would prefer transmission if it was a little bit shorter, but this is, I believe, their second go at a transmission, and I think they're doing pretty good. I think their next generation transmission is going to be way more impressive than this even. So right on, Cison, good job there. I like the smooth engagement of the high-low shifting mechanism. What they've done is they used a planetary gear setup. So when you're in the low range gears, you're actually in the planetary gear section, and then you switch it over. The whole shifting yoke engages the planetary gear to the main gear system, and now you got your high range. So pretty simple, effective system, and it should prove to be very strong. So I'm gonna definitely test that out. They put the brake on the back here, which is something I did to the L4 transmission, and it's a really nice option to have in case you want to have it do e-brakes, or just to control the rear braking as separate from your front braking. And then down here you got your transfer case. Now you're originally supposed to run off the bottom here. If you don't think that's fast enough, it is possible to run off the top here. Now for me, to do this, I want to support the shaft better if I'm going to do that, and I would add a bearing into the backside here and machine that down so you could get the bearing in there. That'll add support to the rear shaft here if you wanted to go right off the rear shaft. Now this rear shaft actually spins at twice the speed of this shaft, so you'll actually increase the top speed of the model by quite a bit if you're going off of the main output here, which I don't think was ever intended for that purpose, and that's why you'd want to beef it up with a servo, or sorry, bearing on this shaft here to support everything. But I'm definitely going to try it out in the stock configuration first. Now there's been some questions online whether the bell housing here would fit the L4 transmission. I'm guessing because then some people would buy the bell housing here and just adapt the L4 transmission because it is a smaller transmission. But unfortunately that's not possible, and I can show you right here why. If you look at the bolt pattern, this I made for the Howen L6 engine, and this directly bolts the Cison L4 transmission. Now that transmission bolt spacing is way different from the Cison V8 transmission, so it's not compatible. You're not able to bolt the L4 transmission up to here. I guess if you made a plate for this that would adapt this bolt pattern, you could do that. But I guess you need to have a machine, some machining expertise, and a little bit of a process. So here's these are going to be your springs for your shifting mechanisms here, and they're a little bit tricky to attach, but I'll do all of that in the setup video. These are the 4 little cap screws to mount your gearbox to the bell housing, and then we have all the screws here to mount the bell housing to the engine. This is what we're going to use to mount the main output gear from the transmission to the flywheel of the engine, and then set screw for that gear here, and that gear is going to mesh up to this gear in here. Now, one of the things that I always do when I'm installing the gearbox and everything, I want to measure out how far it is from this point to here, and then I want to measure to make sure that this gear is going to engage 100%. I don't want this gear to be touching the back wall, and I don't want the gear to only be partway engaged. So there is a little bit of movement on this shaft that you can go, so you want to make sure that you set the right amount of adjustment here so that there's no binding or any damage that can be done. This here is your servo, your third servo for your high-low. This is that mount, and you're going to mount that with these 2 screws, and these 2 screws are for the servo itself, and this is going to be the lever mechanism to change from your high-low gears. Now everything will need to be set up. I recommend setting up the transmission and setting up your radio system before you actually install it into the vehicle, that way, or onto the engine, sorry, that way you can test everything before you actually install it. You can make sure everything is engaging properly, no binding or no slipping, and then you can make all the adjustments that you need to make as you go. Okay, and here we have the transmission all completed and ready for installation on the engine. Now what I've done, I've got my radio set up. My problem was this switch here was only a 2-position switch, so I ended up taking it out and I replaced it with a 3-position switch. This way now I can shift between my gears on both of these switches. It was pretty simple and easy to do. As you can see, the switch was just a standard switch you get on Amazon, and that's exactly where I got this guy from, and just soldered right in. Took 5 minutes to do the whole upgrade. So now I'll just go through the operation here. One of the things I did differently from the instructions was I put this linkage on opposite direction, and that is because the servo is going to be rotating in a counterclockwise direction, so I wanted the screw to also go in that direction. And here I'll show you what I mean. So here's my high-low. Right now I'm in low gear, and now I'm in high gear. You see how it moves nice and smooth. Now on the other side here, everything is all equalized. The shifting yoke is right in the center of the cartridge there, which is what you want. It can move nicely there. This is all centered now. So when I shift, so we'll go into first, nice and smooth. I'm only set at 65% right now. If I notice that I have everything seems to engage nicely by finger when I'm in gear, but if I notice any slipping, maybe I'll go up in 10% increments until the slipping goes away. And second, third, and then reverse. So yeah, there you go. This is all set up. Then I also have my brake servo here, which will control the rear brake. And that is set with my throttle. So throttle, as soon as I put back, that puts on the brake. And now one of the things I've already got on order is momentary toggle switches. I'm going to be replacing these over to momentary so that I have to hold it, and as soon as I let go, it'll return back to center for me. So if I go to put on the brakes, it's not going to stall out the engine every time. I don't have to keep remembering to put it in neutral before I put on the brakes. I have to stop immediately. It's just a matter of letting go of the switch and putting on the brakes. So it'll give me more reactive response time for braking purposes. So there you go, everything's all set up. I don't have anything left to do on this side other than put it into the truck. So stay tuned on the next video here, and we'll put it in the hot rod, this guy right there, and we'll get everything all set up and running nicely and go for a drive. Until then, good luck on your build. Bye for now.